Hi, and welcome to Not What's on My Mind, but the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and we are on their minds. Listen, I want to tell you a story. I'm not going to do all the other introduction and stuff that I usually do because I want to tell you a story. In 2010, the Lord had me living in this house. It was a very old house, and some of the windows was broke out, and it had electricity. And the house that I'm living in was a friend because the Lord had moved me out of one situation into another situation. But at least I wasn't homeless. I wasn't sleeping out the door. But the thing about it is, so I'm in this house, and this house is old, and it didn't have no heat. But in the back of the house, it had an old shed and had a stone porch, and it also had a wooden porch before you got to the shed. And the house sit up off the ground, I say about 4.5 feet off the ground, and it had these big long steps that went across to the bottom of the porch. And there I had a swing that sit on that porch also. And there was a shed that sits in the back of the old house, and I would go in there and look around and then be nosy and stuff because the Lord had me in that place there because he was teaching me stuff, and he was showing me stuff, and he was making me strong in him and in the power of his might. So I would go back there. It was old washing machines and refrigerators and stoves and all that old lawnmowers and stuff like that was in the shed. But I lived in this house, and like I said, it had electricity, but it didn't have no heat. It didn't have no heat, so this old house had this thing that looked like a spaceship. It was big and round like a big giant spaceship. Now this table I'm sitting at, I want you to imagine, because I used to go out there and I used to try to pick up this old stove thing, because I used to imagine to myself what I could do if I had this old stove, because I was cooking outside and everything, but I'm thinking if I can get this thing right here, I can put it on the porch and I can cook on it and keep warm at the same time because it was getting winter. So now I've been out there a few times trying to move that thing. Well, about 2 months went by, and I said, Lord, it's getting cold. I said, how am I going to keep warm? I said, it's getting really cold. I need to get some heat. Now I'm going to move my camera for a minute, and I'm going to step back and let you see how big this table is. See how big this table is? Now I want you to imagine that all around this table, except for standing in front of us where the Bible is an opening for you put the wood in and everything. But this thing has a wall all around it, and in the middle it has a thing like a chimney. Now, I've tried to pick that thing up and move that thing. I couldn't lift that thing. That thing felt like it weighed about 200 tons. I don't know. It was super heavy. So I said to the Lord that day, I said, how am I going to keep warm? How are you going to keep me warm? It's getting cold. And then all of a sudden this thing started flashing before my eyes. Just flash. And I started laughing at the Lord because I say, hold up, wait a minute, Lord. I said, wait a minute. I said, I see this thing flashing before my eyes. I said, you mean you want me to go out there and get that thing, and this is the thing that's going to keep me warm? And I bust out to laughing because it's funny to me. How am I going to move this thing? I've been trying to move these things for years. Well, months, rather. That's just a figure of speech. I've been trying to move it just to see could I move it. And I couldn't even tip it. So the Lord tell me to go and get it. I said, okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, I'm going to go on out there and get it. So before you get it, you got to first go through these little bushes. It's more like a yard that need to be cut, and the bushes had grew really high into some of the trees. So you got to go through that, and then you got to go around another shed, and then you got to go inside that shed. And when you get inside that shed, you got to be able to lift this thing up. Now imagine as you look at this table that you need to pick up something that's probably sit like 2 feet off the floor. And it's shaped like a spaceship with an open door and a pipe. Feel like solid iron. So I'm in there and I'm looking at the thing, and I say to the Lord, now how you want me to move this? I thought we gonna get this out of here. You know what he said? He said, push it over. Now it's round and over, But I never thought to push it over. So he said, push it over. I said, okay. So I pushed it over. It went over nice and easy. It didn't even fall like I thought it was going to fall. It just laid on the side. And then he said, now roll it out of here. Now you think now I got to go through all these bushes. I got to go around another shed. Then I got to come. So I did all that. I get to the stairs. Now, the stairs probably about 5 feet wide. Because the porch is wide and it's got cement where I need to set the stove. And you got to raise it up about 4 feet from the ground. Maybe 5 feet from the ground because you're up high. So I'm looking at the Lord and I'm saying to the Lord, I'm here to the steps now, Lord. How am I going to get this up? And I was watching Kenneth Copeland and he was talking about the ministering angels and how the angels minister you and how the angels do stuff. And then the Lord brought this story back to my remembrance. So he told me, he says, reach down there and pick it up. And I'm looking at these 5 steps I got to go up. Real long high steps. And then I'm looking at the spot where it got to go. It's about 3 or 4 feet from where I am, and it's got to go in a certain spot because half of the porch is cement and the other half is wood, and it's got to be mostly on the cement part. So I reach down and I act like I'm picking it up. I put my hands on the lip, like all of a sudden it's going up the stairs. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't realize it was going up the stairs until after it had been up the stairs and placed on the porch. So it's going up the stairs. Imagine now you got a big old piece of steel iron something, I don't know, oven, and you going up 5 steps, 6 with the porch itself. And it's big and heavy, like this table. And he sets it down right in the perfect spot. I got space for the wood and space to get by and space for my swing. Because I have a swing back there, like I do in my backyard. Now, let me tell you, when it dawned on me that that big old heavy thing had been brought up them steps and set on the porch, I realized the angels of the Lord had been there. I was screaming and I was hollering and I was running up and down the steps all around the house, all up and down the neighborhood. I was crazy because my neighbors used to me praising and worshiping, praising the Lord and being crazy. They used to that. And I was running up and telling, look what the Lord has done. Look what the Lord did. He sent the ministering angels. Look what the Lord has done. Oh my God, look what the Lord did. But see, nobody would believe me. I was very excited. So that night I got me a big old fire out there in the backyard, sitting on the porch. And the man who owned the house, which was my friend, he don't never come in the yard. He passed by the road. He said he saw the fire. He said when he saw the fire, he thought the porch was on fire, so he came back. And when he came back there in the back and he saw that that big old iron thing was sitting on the porch, he stopped and he looked and he said, how did you get that up there? He said, don't tell me you carried this up here. Don't tell me you brought that all the way from out of the shed and put it up on this porch. How did you get that? See, he didn't believe in God because he always say, my God. I'm going to tell you a story about that, how I got to his house and why he say, my God. So I told him, I said, you're not going to believe it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I said, my God sent his angels and they picked it up and brought it out of the shed and they put it here. You should have seen how he was looking. He thought I was crazy. He says, I can't even carry that. It takes 4 men to carry that. And we still gonna struggle. I said, well, the Lord sent his angels. And I said, and we carried it up on the porch. So the next day, he go get his 2 brothers. He brings them back to see what the Lord has done. And they could not believe what they had seen. And they didn't believe me either. I know a lot of people won't believe that we serve a supernatural God that does supernatural things and he moves in supernatural way. And he's asking his children to believe him for supernatural strength, power, supernatural wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, obedience, and faith. Supernatural forgiveness, mercy, and grace. Because he cares about us. And we're always on their mind. This is not what's on your mind, but the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I hope you enjoy this series.